Imagine a man sitting in a laboratory all day, staring into a microscope, writing pages and pages of notes. His hair is messy, his eyes are red, his face shows exhaustion. Yet he does not stop. Why? For truth. A philosopher is buried in books, spending years searching for the answer to a single question. His life is passing by, but he says, truth must be found. Now the question is, does this man truly want truth? Or is he running away from life? Is truth so valuable that life itself should be sacrificed for it? Is every truth worth knowing? Nietzsche said that the worship of truth is a disease, and this disease was started by Socrates. Today, we are so deeply infected by this disease that we no longer even ask whether this is the right path. Friends, today we begin the journey of Nietzsche's most unique book, The Gay Science. This is the book in which Nietzsche first declared that God is dead and also explained what we must do next. But in the first part, we will discuss an even more fundamental question. What is consciousness? Where did it come from? And is it really a blessing or a beautiful prison? Nietzsche's most revolutionary idea is this: consciousness is not a divine gift. It is a product of social necessity. How? Evolutionary biology tells us that around 200,000 years ago, when Homo sapiens adopted group living, a new ability became critically necessary. This ability was complex communication with others, expressing intentions, participating in planning, warning about dangers. The tribes that could communicate better hunted more successfully, defended themselves more effectively, and as a result, survived and passed on their genes. But here is Nietzsche's deepest insight. Consciousness is actually a result of language, not language a result of consciousness. We learn to speak first, and only then learn to think. Neurolinguistic research confirms this. In the brain, Broca's area and Wernicke's area not only control language, but also the inner monologue, the conversation we have with ourselves. When you think, brain scans show that the same areas activate that are used for speaking. In other words, thinking is simply talking to yourself. So Nietzsche asks, what is consciousness? It is a social tool. We think consciously so that we can communicate those thoughts to others. If we were alone, if we never had to speak to anyone, perhaps we would not need consciousness at all. This sounds strange, but think about it. The things we consciously think about are exactly the things we can express to others. The things we cannot put into words, we cannot consciously think about them either. Now, neuroscience reveals a shocking truth. Benjamin Libet's famous experiments prove that when you make a decision, your brain activates about 350 milliseconds before you become consciously aware of it, meaning your unconscious mind makes the decision first. Then consciousness feels it and says, I decided this. This is an illusion. You think you are making decisions, but in reality, your unconscious has already made them. Nietzsche says, our real life is unconscious. Your heart beats without thinking. Blood flows without orders. Hormones are released automatically. Millions of cells are born and die every second, completely outside your awareness. Even your desires, emotions, loves, and hatreds are unconscious. Modern psychology shows that about 95% of brain activity happens at the unconscious level. Daniel Kahneman, in Thinking Fast and Slow, showed that most of our decisions come from System 1, the unconscious system, while System 2, conscious thinking, merely justifies those decisions afterward. So Nietzsche's question is this: if our real life is unconscious, if decisions are already made, then what is the use of consciousness? The answer: consciousness is a system for communicating with others. It is a social interface, not the center of life. But the problem is that we have made consciousness sacred. We have given it so much importance that we have disconnected from our true unconscious life. We keep thinking, analyzing, over-reflecting, and forget how to live. Now Nietzsche arrives at another dangerous question. the worship of truth. Why do we chase truth? Is truth always better? Nietzsche says Socrates started this disease. Socrates introduced the idea that truth is the highest value, even more valuable than life. If you must die for truth, then die, but never abandon truth. And Socrates lived by this principle. When sentenced to death by poison, he accepted it, because retreating from his principles would be a lie. But Nietzsche asks, who said truth is so valuable? What law declares that truth is better than illusion? Evolutionary psychology suggests that in many cases lying increased human survival. Robert Trivers, in his theory of self-deception, showed that deceiving oneself was evolutionarily beneficial. Why? Because if you believe you are strong, beautiful, capable, you can convince others of the same, and that belief increases social success. Neuroscience shows that our brain constantly distorts reality. Confirmation, bias, hindsight bias, availability heuristic. These cognitive biases pull us away from truth. But these are not bugs, they are features. Evolution gave them to us because they helped us survive. Seeing complete truth is often harmful. Research on depressive realism shows that depressed people perceive reality more accurately. Happy people live with optimistic illusions. Meaning, a little lie is necessary for happiness. Nietzsche says truth is a tool, not a god. Sometimes truth is useful, sometimes illusion is. But we have made truth sacred, an absolute value, and this is a disease.